A car travels for 18 minutes at an average speed of 72 kilometers per hour. In part A, we need to work out how far the car will travel in the 18 minutes. So for this, we need to use this fact here, that distance is speed multiplied by time. But before we can use that, we just need to look at what units of time we're working with. So we see a car travelling for 18 minutes. Okay, so in this bit, we're working minutes. But the speed is in 72 kilometers an hour. So here we're working hours. Whenever we're doing questions like this, we always need to make sure we're being consistent with our units. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this 18 minutes into hours, and then we can work out what the distance is. Okay, so I'm going to start off by writing what we know. We know that 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So from here, I'm going to work out, okay, so what's 1 minute? 1 minute, okay, so to get to 1 minute from 60, we're going to need to divide by 60. Whatever we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. So if I divide this by 60, we get that 1 minute is 1 over 60 hours. Okay, but I don't want 1 minute, I want 18 minutes. So what we're now going to do to that is we're going to multiply it by 18. So here we're going to get that 18 minutes equals 18 over 60 hours. Perfect, so that's great. So we say our distance travelled in those 18 minutes equals speed. So our speed, we're being told that in the question, it's 72 kilometers an hour. Just put 72. And that's going to be multiplied by the time. Well, the time that's taking us to do that is 18 over 60 hours. So 18 over 60. Okay, so we now need to work this out, but because it's a non-calculator paper, we can't just pop this into the calculator. So what we can do to make it easier for us is we can simplify this fraction. This is going to equal, we still got 72, but okay, the first thing that jumps out to me is both the numbers are even on the numerator and the denominator. So if we divide them both by 2, we're going to get, okay, that's 9 over 30. Now what jumps out to me is that both of these are a multiple of 3. So if we divide the numerator and denominator by 3, we're going to get that that's 72 multiplied by 3 over 10. Now that's a bit easier to work out now. What we're going to have here is on the top, it will be 72 multiplied by 3. And on the bottom, we're going to have 10. So to quickly work out what 72 multiplied by 3 is. So if we multiply the 3 and the 2, we get that that's 6. And the 3 and the 7, then we get 21. So that's 216. So that's 216 divided by 10, which equals 21.6. And that would be kilometers, because that's the unit of distance we've been working with throughout the question. So we get our first mark for realizing we have to work with distance is speed multiplied by time. And our second mark for going through all the working to get the correct answer of 21.6 kilometers. Now in part B, David says 72 kilometers per hour is faster than 20 meters per second. And we need to work out, is David correct? Okay, so if you remember in part A what I was saying about working the same units, to be able to compare this, we need to either change this 72 kilometers per hour into meters per second, or change this meters per second into kilometers per hour. And then we can really easily compare because we're comparing like for like. Okay, so what I've decided to do here, we're going to convert 72 kilometers per hour into meters per second and then compare that with the 20 meters per second. So we need to work out how we can convert from kilometers per hour to meters per second. Now we've got a little trick that we can use to work out what we need to multiply by. So because we're going from kilometers, I'm going to write it like this, like a fraction, kilometers per hour, and we're going to meters per second like this. And we want to multiply by, and it's going to be some fraction, okay? And we need to work out what we need on the top and bottom. So we need to think how many meters are in 1 kilometer. So that's 1,000. So we're going to put that on the top here. Now we're going to have a look at the bottom. So how many seconds are in an hour? Okay, that's quite a big jump. So we'll do it step by step. So how many seconds are in a minute? That's 60. Then how many minutes are in an hour? That's 60 as well. So we can put down here 60 times 60. So there are 60 times 60 seconds in an hour. So now this is what we need to multiply by to convert from kilometers per hour to meters per second. Cool, but just before we do that, I'm going to simplify this down a bit so it's a bit easier to work with. So because we're multiplying 60 by 60, and then we've got 1,000 on top, I'll be able to divide the top and the bottom by 100. So we'll be left with 10 over 6 times 6, which is 10 over 36. then I can divide the top and bottom by 2. So I'll be left with 5 divided by 18. Perfect. So this is the number we're going to use to carry out the conversion. Okay, so we're going to have 72 multiplied by 5 over 18, which equals 72 multiplied by 5 divided by 18. So if we do our 72 multiplied by 5, we're going to do the 5 multiplied by the 2, so we get 10, so we carry 1 and put 0 here. Then we do the 7 multiplied by 5, which is 35. If we add the 1 that we carried, we get 36, so that's 360. So here we're going to get 360 divided by 18. Okay, so now to calculate this, I'm going to use the bus stop method. So I'm going to do 18 here and 360 here. So you see, how many times does 18 go into 3? Well, that's 0. And then we're going to carry over the 3 that we didn't use. So we've now got 36 here. So how many times does 18 go into 36? Well, that's quite nice. It goes exactly twice. So I'm going to put 2 here. Now, how many times does 18 go into 0? Well, that's nothing. So we're going to put 0 here. So our final answer is 20. So 36 divided by 18 is 20. So that means we've got 20 meters per second. Okay, so we need to look back up at the question. We need to answer, is David correct? So David says 72 kilometers per hour is faster than 20 meters per second. Is David correct? No, because they're actually the same thing. So to finish off the question, we just need to put a statement like this, answering the question exactly. So saying no and giving a reason for it, because 72 kilometers per hour equals 20 meters a second.